He said, ma'am, you have to push now. Your baby's head is already out.
When the EMS told her that, I ran away.
Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Mama Dr. Jones, a board-certified OBGYN and mom to 4, and it's everybody's favorite time of the month. Much better than that other time of the month where we review an episode of TLC's famously entertaining show, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant, and run it with educational commentary. Y'all will love this episode. It's wild where she ends up having the baby and who is in attendance, and it's also a really, really good learning episode. This video is also kindly sponsored by Skillshare, and we'll hear more about them and a very exciting upcoming project I'm working on thanks to their help in just a minute.
In 2009, 19-year-old Yanel leads a busy life in the city, juggling work and college, and she's been dating Dennis for 2 years.
What I like most about Dennis is that he makes me smile. Yeah, I'm in love.
The thing I liked most about Yanel was her personality.
They're so cute. I love them already.
I didn't want any kids until I was the age of 30 and after I got married, of course. Me and Dennis, we always use condoms every time we had sex.
So we've talked about this in a few of these videos. Condoms are a good form of birth control, but they are not perfect. So when condoms are used perfectly, consistently, and correctly every single time, they have a failure rate around 2%. When they are used as most people use them, which she's describing perfect use, but most people will occasionally forget a condom or not put it on correctly or just choose not to use it in the heat of the moment. And in that situation, they have about an 18% failure rate. So it still works even if you're not using them perfectly and consistently, but works way better when you are. I believe her that she was using them every time incorrectly, but they still can fail.
In addition to attending college, Yanel is working 2 jobs to pay the bills. Fortunately for Yanel and Dennis, working together at the mall gives them another opportunity to see each other. Late March, Yanel squeezes a doctor visit into her schedule when she realizes that she's urinating more than usual and wants to make sure everything is okay.
I went to the ObGyn and I did give him a urine sample.
You are not pregnant.
And he said I was not pregnant.
Sometimes a pregnancy test that is done in the urine might be negative if the hormone levels are really, really high and the test just can't read it, but that's really unusual. So I don't know if they either didn't run it or didn't run it properly. It could have been a lab error. It could have been a mix-up in the samples. I don't know. Some kind of problem happened, but that's really unusual. So a negative pregnancy test when you are actually pregnant is way less common. That doesn't happen very much.
They told me it was because I had a urinary tract infection.
2 teaspoons.
So they gave me a lot of medicine, liquids, and after that I was fine.
UTIs, or urinary tract infections, are more common in pregnancy, and there's a couple of reasons why. Urinary tract infections can increase in pregnancy because of progesterone being higher. That's a hormone that your body makes to support the pregnancy, and when you have higher progesterone, everything that is a smooth muscle in your body slows down. So the bowel peristalsis, or movement of the bowel to get everything through it, slows down. Hence, you have a higher rate of constipation. The ureters, which connect the kidneys to the bladder and move urine into the bladder, they also peristalse like that. They're smooth muscle and that slows down. And then another thing that happens is the urethra, which is from the bladder to the outside, just has a little bit higher incidence of bacteria going backwards into that because of relaxation of all of the smooth muscle and mucosa and higher levels of progesterone and estrogen during pregnancy.
I love food. I eat like a man. Anybody could tell you that.
By June, Yanel has gained 10 pounds, but she still fits into her clothes.
Thought it was due to poor dieting and a lack of sleep.
Around July, my breasts got larger and swollen. I noticed because my bathing suit was getting small. I thought it was due to all the food we were just eating. I'm like, hey, okay, I look good, so who cares, you know?
I love that. She's like, I think my breasts are bigger, but you know what? I like it. I'm not going to worry about it. She's right. When you gain weight, you can also gain breast tissue because the breasts have some fatty tissue that make up a large percentage of them, along with a whole lot of other functional aspects of the breast. But you can have enlargement of the breast with weight gain. At this point, honestly, I don't have any reason to be curious why she didn't know she was pregnant, except they haven't mentioned her periods, which I would love to know what happened to those.
Throughout the summer, Yanel's period arrives each month on time.
Every month I get my period without a miss.
She did mention bad cramps and stomach pain, and I associated that with her menstrual period.
Sometimes people say I had my period during pregnancy, and I want to just kind of tease this out a little bit. You can have bleeding in pregnancy. You can have bleeding that's from something like a subchorionic hemorrhage or a decidual bleeding from the lining of the endometrium, but just not shedding all of the lining of the uterus. And you can have bleeding from other pregnancy-related things. But you can't have an actual period where you have bleeding and it sheds the whole lining of the uterus. The hormones that you have in your body don't allow for that. So you may have bleeding in pregnancy, and it may happen to come on a basis enough that seems regular enough that you think it's your cycle. But it is kind of a distinct difference. But of course, if you're having bleeding and it seems to be coming on a monthly basis, then yeah, you might think that that's your period. I can't really blame her at this point.
On November 12th, Yanel wakes up with severe cramps.
It was a really horrible pain. But Dennis asked me to work with him at the mall. So I said, of course, more money.
Is this gonna be the labor and he's there with her? She's gonna have the baby at work with them working together. Can you imagine the customers coming into the front of the store and they're like, what's all that screaming? Where's all the workers? One of them is in the back delivering a baby that she didn't know she was pregnant with. And the other one is helping because he's the significant other and presumably the father of this baby.
Even though I wasn't feeling well, I still got up, getting dressed. That pain, it was the worst. I felt like somebody was stabbing me from side to side.
This really speaks to the culture in the United States of just pushing through it and working even when you are sick or in severe pain. She's in labor and she's like hurting so bad and she doesn't even know what it is, and she's still just gonna go to work because calling in sick is just not acceptable in US culture. It's wild to me.
I ran to Dennis and I told him I wasn't feeling well at all. I was scared. I felt like my body was pulling me apart. Everything was just breaking down inside of me.
She is a tough woman, and to see her in that state was extremely frightening to me. I asked her if she needed to take a break to, go to the stock room.
You know you should not be here right now, but
I assumed what was happening was associated with her menstrual period.
For the record, if any of you out there get menstrual cramps that are that severe, it's not normal and you should see someone about it. Period cramps should never interfere with like your normal day-to-day functioning. They should be something that if they are there, you can take medication, over-the-counter medication, and feel okay and still, do your normal day-to-day things for the most part.
I'm thinking, okay, if I lay down, go to sleep, everything will be okay. I was alone. I felt a slight pressure in my vagina. When I looked down, there was water on the floor. I just felt really hard pressure. Like, I couldn't even scream. It hurt so much.
hey, you okay?
When I went to the stock room to check up on Yanel, I saw her laying on the floor.
Can you imagine if you were the significant other working in the front of the store and you hear screaming and you run back and she looks like that and there's water everywhere and you have no idea what's going on? Oh my gosh, this is so scary. I would be terrified if I was either one of them. I cannot imagine being in labor, not knowing I was pregnant, and about to have a baby in the back room of my work at a mall.
True or false, a woman can be pregnant for over a year? Your answer when we return.
Thank you to the wonderful sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can take thousands of inspiring and creative classes to truly invest in yourself. We've been using Skillshare for a long time. Currently, I am using it for a podcasting class. Hint, hint, something exciting should be coming towards the end of April. Big thank you to John Lagomarsino who taught my Skillshare class so that I would be more than prepared to share this exciting project with you all very soon. If you've ever had a new skill that you wanted to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to get started. Skillshare has a huge offering of classes from art and creativity to productivity and wellness. There are so many options. I promise you will be able to find something that makes your heart happy and teaches you a brand new skill. So if you'd like to try out Skillshare and support my channel in the process, the first 1,000 people to use my link in the description box below or code MamaDrJones at sign up will get a month's free trial of Skillshare. Check it out, find a class that you want to learn and grow from in 2022, and then send me the results. I am so excited to see what you create or see what you learn. Now, let's get back to the video.
True or false, a woman can be pregnant for over a year? Your answer, true. While most pregnancies last about 9 months, the world's longest pregnancy was 375 days. And at birth, the baby was only a little under 7 pounds.
Okay, I take issue with that. This is far more likely to be a situation where someone was just not ovulating for a long time. So their last period was a long time ago, but they actually got pregnant much later than would be expected by the dating using a last period. Last period is only accurate in that it's kind of an average. There is no way that someone was pregnant for over a year. This is not reality. I hate this question. And now I'm gonna Google longest gestation. 1945, y'all. Okay, like, come on. We barely had pregnancy tests at all in 1945. This is absolutely a case where the gestation was mistaken. This is banana. This is not true. Why would TLC present this as true? This is absolutely not true. Like, no. Okay, I am angry. We're moving on.
Oh, 911.
My phone had no service back there.
I'm not getting reception in here.
Dennis, find a way, call.
So I ran to the store adjacent to mine
Don't leave, Dennis, don't leave.
and asked them to call more security and place a 911 call.
Call 911
I've never been that terrified in my life.
Dennis leaves to call 911.
That was actually very good crisis management where he pointed specifically at someone and said, call 911 now. That is how you should do this. So if you are in an emergency situation and somebody needs to call 911, don't just to the world say, someone call 911. Pick a specific person, because otherwise everybody might assume that somebody else is doing it and they don't want to clog up the 911 line.
She had moved from the stockroom to the hallway and she was laying on the floor. She told me she had felt blood running down her leg.
I felt like I was about to die.
Something's down there.
I grabbed his hand. He felt the head already was coming out. And that's when, oh snap, we're having a baby.
I like how she phrased that. Oh snap, we're having a baby. I wonder if she actually still had her pants all the way on, because in that imagery that they just showed, she was still fully clothed. Like, I think if I processed that it was a baby, I would, take my pants off by that point. But maybe the editing kind of didn't do her justice here.
I'm just thinking, what's going on? What should I do? I don't know what to do. It was horrible. I was trying my hardest to push it back inside, but it hurt. That's when I stopped.
I can only imagine that it would be horribly scary if you didn't even know you were pregnant and then suddenly you figure that out because the baby's coming out. So I feel for her and the trauma that these people must go through when this happens.
I'm thinking that it's a life and death situation. So I ran out to try and call 911 again.
911 operator 1997, we're still there.
I'm in the mall. I need an ambulance. My girlfriend, I think she went into labor. She's having a miscarriage or something.
Okay, how many months
We
pregnant is
didn't
she?
know she was pregnant. She just collapsed right now. She said she's feeling something coming out.
Okay.
After the phone call was placed, I would
Is this the real 911 call? They got the real 911 call? This is a first. TLC, strong work, stepping up the game.
When the security guards had rushed in, I started attacking them, asking them where the EMS was, yelling at the top of my lungs, where's the ambulance at?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Get a man now.
I called the dispatcher about 4 times.
Your mom's called like 20 times.
I don't know if that acting is accurate to the situation or not, but I can tell that tensions were high, and honestly, I can't blame them.
No one is giving me any answers.
Your unit has been assigned. They're making their way there first.
You don't have like an ETA or anything?
No,
Estimate?
units. I don't know where they're coming from.
Don't they usually keep people on the phone for emergency calls, like until the ambulance arrives? In case, like, they need to be coached through helping deliver the baby or something? I don't think this is actually accurate to how usually 911 calls happen.
Sir? He hung up.
Okay, or maybe it was his choice to not continue the call.
It was pretty hectic because there were people who were trying to get stuff out their stockroom, on top of Yanel crying that she's in pain, on top of me yelling at everybody, where's the ambulance at? So it was pretty hectic.
What a chaotic situation. Oh my god.
Finally, after 30 minutes, an ambulance arrives at the mall.
When the
30 minutes is quite a long time. Why did it take them so long to get there? I would probably be freaking out also. Like, that's a long wait.
It's okay. Stay calm.
I'm like, what is that? What is that? Just take it out. Just take it out. He was trying to cut my pants off, but I
Her pants were still up. Oh my gosh.
told him not to because it was so embarrassing. He's like, don't worry. You're having a baby, so it's okay.
That is so awful that she's worried about that in that moment.
When the EMT cut her underwear, I saw a full head.
Then he said, ma'am, you have to push now. Your baby's head is already out.
When the EMS told her that, I ran away because I couldn't process all that. Most people have 8 or 9 months to come to terms with that. I had about 19 seconds.
I mean, that's accurate, but how awful that he just left. I can't blame him. Everybody reacts to traumatic and terrifying situations in a different way, but man, that's, oh my gosh, yep. Most people have time to prepare, and he had 19 seconds.
At the same time, I'm pushing. I'm going crazy. I can't even breathe. And he just holds the baby like that, and I'm like...
That face that she made was so good. That's how I would also look at him and a baby if I had unexpectedly just delivered a baby without knowing I was pregnant.
That's a baby right there that he's holding. And I'm telling him, like, are you sure that's my baby?
That's like maximal dissociation, to be able to push a baby out and then look at it immediately and be like, are you sure it's mine? This is the second episode where we've had someone say, are you sure that's my baby? Or in one of the episodes was like, nope, that's not my baby. And it must just be like maximal dissociation from the event that's happening at the same time. Or maybe it's just, you know, whatever just comes out of your mouth. But it's interesting to me that more than one of them have said something to that effect.
The EMT said, oh, look at a pretty little boy with a lot of hair in his head. And I was thinking, a boy, really? The EMT was the one who cut the umbilical cord.
There you go.
The baby.
Are they using foil for the reenactment? They couldn't even get a reflective blanket, which is what they would normally be put in. They just use foil for the reenactment. TLC, you always impress me. Can I just say that? I always leave these just so impressed by your MacGyvering of acting and props and everything in between.
He didn't cry at all. It was a scary moment. I was thinking to myself, my baby's dead.
How horrible to go through such a traumatic event and then the baby's not crying and you look at it and you think that it's dead. That is absolutely, that's so traumatic. When babies are first born, they don't always cry immediately, and that's okay. You just want to try to encourage them to make some noise and take some breaths and, you know, rub their back or rub their feet. And usually within a minute or two, they'll start crying and breathing. But I know that most people who haven't been in births frequently and their only experiences with birth have either been like the 1 or 2 times they did it themselves, or movies and TV shows expect babies to come out screaming, and if they don't, usually in movies and TV shows, that means something's terribly wrong. But in the real world, they don't always come out screaming, and they need a minute or two to start adjusting to what just happened. But in this situation also, the baby could be extremely premature, or something could have already happened to the baby. Who knows? So, I mean, she's right to have that fear and thought run through her head, but it's just heartbreaking to hear it like that from her.
The EMT did his little suction and everything. That's when he started crying.
The first time I heard the baby cry, it was like a bombshell because I couldn't get over the fact that the little thing crying was my son.
I was like, I just had a baby. I didn't know I was pregnant. And I was in shock. The father was in shock also.
I can imagine, and your boss probably was also in shock.
The baby doesn't make a sound all the way to the hospital.
He looks scary like a zombie. Then I'm thinking to myself, what if the baby's dead?
Why isn't he crying? He's just being quiet, that's all.
Yeah, a lot of times after they do the initial crying and breathing, and especially if they're all wrapped up and warm like that, they won't always keep crying. That baby is seemingly in its mother's arms, apparently by the reenactment, and it's okay if they don't continue to cry. And again, I know that that's scary, especially when you've been through a very traumatic and scary situation like they had, but the EMTs are there and they wouldn't just miss the fact that the baby wasn't breathing if it needed more assistance or resuscitation than it was being given at that moment.
As soon as they arrive at the hospital, doctors examine the abnormally quiet newborn.
A lot of concerns came to my mind, the poor dieting and not so healthy food, lifestyle choices that we had made automatically put a huge fear in me.
We say this in every episode, right? You do the best you can with the information that you have. I think it's helpful for people to recognize, not just in this situation, but in life in general, that you do the best you can with the information you have. And if you made a decision in the past or you did something in the past without information that you have now that would have kept you from making that decision, that's okay. It's an opportunity to learn and move forward and do better in the future.
Then he started crying, and I'm like, oh my God.
The 6-pound, 2-ounce baby boy is full term. But due to the circumstances of his birth, doctors need to run some more tests. Yanel and Dennis discuss the future.
I'm thinking, I'm like, give it up for adoption. I'm only 20, I'm not even married yet. That's against the law for me and my family.
I always felt that I would never have children.
There were things I had planned on doing before ever having a kid.
It was extremely hard for me to have that conversation about adoption with Yanel.
This is a really tough conversation, but I am happy that they are presenting this because a lot of times in these videos, it does seem like they go straight from, we didn't know we were pregnant, oh my gosh, this is traumatic and scary, oh, a baby, I love it. But everybody's not always in that situation. She's discussing how she doesn't think her family will be able to be supportive of her because in her family, it's not okay to have a baby outside of marriage. She's talking about how she has things that she wants to do and she's not sure if she can do those with a baby. There are so many hard conversations that must happen every time, we watch one of these shows, but I'm glad that they are actually presenting that side in this episode.
It was just as soon as they placed him in my hands, it was just like I couldn't give him up.
He said, we can do it, us too. That was a very emotional moment for me. Then from there, he called his parents, I called my parents. My parents weren't having it. His parents started crying because they were so happy. So we got different reactions from both sides of the family.
That must be really hard to call your family and tell them you've just been through this really, really traumatic thing that happened. And also now you have a baby, that you've gone through the gut-wrenching decision-making process about whether you wanted to put the baby up for adoption or not. And now you've made your decision and you're calling them and you get, really happy excitement from one side and just absolute lack of support from the other side.
Everybody started messaging me saying, you had a baby, congratulations. I didn't know you were pregnant. I'm like, I didn't know I was either.
Looking back on her pregnancy, Yanel tries to piece together when and how she got pregnant.
I really don't know when I got pregnant. Maybe it was around Valentine's Day.
She thinks she got pregnant around Valentine's Day, and then the UTI visit was in March. So I suspect that what actually happened there is that she was just too early to test positive on a urine pregnancy test when she went in to see the doctor. We talked about other possibilities earlier, but in the event that those weren't what caused it, I think probably what happened is that she was just too early for the urine pregnancy test to come up as positive at the point where she was seen. I hope that you learned something today, y'all. If you did, please hit that like button. Click subscribe. If you're not subscribed, we would love to have you. Don't forget to check out Skillshare, our sponsor for this video, using my link in the description down below or putting in code Mom and Dr. Jones. I will see you next Monday. This is the part of the video where my 9-year-old daughter knocks on the door and comes in with this announcement.
I'm gonna pee on the paper in your daddy's office.
On the paper? What? Luckily, the little guy is super cute and he is learning to pee in a litter box instead of on visa paperwork. And yeah, I guess here's your introduction to our newest family member. This is Bunga. Okay, I'm back. Where were we?